We are the Seminar Group 2 and we are tasked with doing the battle review analysis on the Battle of Midway. The Battle of Midway, fought between June 4 and June 7, 1942, was a pivotal naval engagement in the Pacific theater of World War II. The battle marked a turning point in the war, halting Japanese expansion and shifting the momentum in favor of the Allies. Often regarded as one of the most important naval battles in history, the Battle of Midway showcased the crucial role of aircraft carriers and the power of intelligence and code-breaking in modern warfare. Before the clash at Midway, the following key events led to the start of the battle. The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the Japanese expansion across the Pacific, late 1941, early 1942. The Doolittle Raid, April 18, 1942. The Japanese decision to attack Midway, May 1942. The Battle of the Coral Sea, May 4–8, 1942. And the U.S. code-breaking and intelligence breakthrough, May to June 1942. The Japanese operational plan aimed to lure the U.S. Pacific Fleet into a trap by attacking and capturing Midway Atoll. Their plan, called Operation MI, involved a diversionary attack on the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, while the main strike force, including 4 aircraft carriers, approached Midway from the northwest. Then the occupation force commanded by Vice Admiral Nobutaka Kondo was to capture and occupy the island. Finally, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto and the fleet would defend the island from a counterattack. Task Force 16 departs Hawaii on May 27 and after repairs to make USS Yorktown seaworthy, Task Force 17 departs on the 30th. They had 350 miles northeast of Midway to wait for the incoming attack. Search planes are launched to scan the area in order to detect the Japanese fleet before they reach a striking distance of 200 nautical miles. The next event will thoroughly discuss the battle operations that occurred during the Battle of Midway. Seminar Group 2 will show a 3D animation detailing the events that occurred from June 3, 1942, to the 4th of June 1942. The operations at Midway showcased the evolving nature of naval warfare, dominated by aircraft carriers and air power rather than traditional battleship engagements. American coordination, intelligence, and daring under fire reversed the tide in the Pacific War.
A Navy patrol plane reports. Main body bearing 261 degrees, distance 700 miles. 6 large ships in column. 9 B-17s launch at 12:30 to attack the sighted ships. They dropped their bombs, but little to no damage was incurred. Later that evening, 4 Navy PBYs loaded with torpedoes attack the Japanese and score a hit on an oiler. A patrol plane reports. Mini planes heading Midway, bearing 320 degrees. And another report. 2 carriers and main body of ships, carriers in front, course 135 degrees. The U.S. Marine Fighting Squadron, consisting of only 27 planes, engages the bombers. In spite of heavy anti-aircraft fire, the Japanese continued their run, and at 0630 they dropped bombs along the north side of Eastern Island, and in the hangar and barracks area on Sand Island. The powerhouse on Eastern Island and the oil tanks on Sand Island were their primary targets. As the Japanese attack was ending, the first U.S. bombers from Midway, 6 TBFs and 4 B-26s, find their targets. 16 SBDs dive through the clouds, emerging to encounter heavy anti-aircraft fire from Hiryu. As the SBDs exit, the B-17s start their attack, going after Soryu, Hiryu, and Akagi. During this attack, Nautilus appears, putting even more pressure on the Japanese Navy. She fires off 1 torpedo, which misses. A few minutes later, 11 SBTU dive bombers start their attack, but were engaged by a large number of Japanese fighters, forcing them to give up their attack on the carrier and choose a battleship as their target instead. Nagumo receives a report that the U.S. have at least 1 carrier in the area. The U.S. attacks didn't inflict any damage, but it prevented the Japanese from building a coordinated attack. While the planes from Enterprise head southwest, the Hornets head west. With no contact, the Hornets torpedo squadron, led by Lieutenant Commander John C. Waldron, broke off and turned south. 15 of Hornets torpedo squadron target Soryu. The ET-6 arrived before the rest of the Enterprise group. They target Kagai 0938 and fire off some torpedoes. 12 torpedo bombers from Yorktown attack Hiryu but score no hits. In an almost coordinated attack, 17 SBDs from Yorktown's VB-3 begin their attack and target Soryu, scoring 3 hits, causing fires in all 3 hangars. When the Enterprise group arrives, they don't see any Japanese carriers. Lieutenant Commander C. Wade McCluskey spots the Japanese destroyer Arashi, and making the most important decision of the entire action, turns his whole group north. When McCluskey and the Enterprise bombers arrive, they attack Kaga, scoring 5 direct hits and setting the carrier ablaze. VB-6's Dick Best and 2 wingmen turn their attack on Akagi. With one lucky shot, a bomb sliced through the flight deck and exploded in the upper hangar, in the midst of the aircraft there. Shortly after, the carrier bursts into flames. 3 carriers are disabled, but the last carrier escapes undamaged, so Yorktown sends out 10 scouts from VB-5 to search for it. At 11:52, radar picked up a large number of planes heading for Yorktown. They quickly cut down the attackers, but 7 bombers broke through, only to meet a formidable screen of anti-aircraft fire. Despite this, 3 hits had been made on Yorktown. Rear Admiral Frank Jack Fletcher moves to the Astoria and will soon turn over command to Rear Admiral Spruance. Damage to the Yorktown proved not to be serious, and repairs were made quickly. The hole in the flight deck was covered in less than half an hour. By 1420, the 10 bombers of VB-5 that Yorktown sent out earlier find the last Japanese carrier. U.S. fighters are launched from Yorktown, joined by fighters from TF-16, shoot down several of the torpedo planes before the ships open fire. Of the planes that got past, 4 were able to drop their torpedoes. 2 of these the Yorktown avoided by skillful maneuvering. 2 others, however, could not be avoided, and they caught her amidships on the port side. With the Yorktown listing heavily to port, the orders were given to abandon ship. At 15:30, the Enterprise began launching an attack group of 26 SPDs that include orphans from the Yorktown. 30 minutes later, the Hornet began launching a squadron of 16 SPDs. The Enterprise squadron sighted the Japanese force at 16:50. They dove in from the sun and scored 4 direct hits on Hiryu, which was soon a mass of flames. With the bombing of the 4th Japanese carrier, the U.S. had won control of the air.
The Battle of Midway was essentially a victory of intelligence, but the U.S. forces also needed to meet the enemy with heroism and devotion to duty.